So what an eventful start of the year, huh? Just in the past few weeks, we've had Dolphy and Grax being exposed as weirdo pedophiles, a rare GD update with click between frames that broke everything for a little while. Then we also had the GD Moderator's private Discord server getting leaked, one of the mods there sexting a child, and Paz being his usual self with a bad power trip, as is normal with him. For any GD players who's coming back, it must feel like that one meme of that one guy walking in with pizzas in a room that's on fire, completely confused of what is even happening. So for those who are confused and out of the loop about the GD mod leaks, let me bring you up to speed. A few weeks ago, a hacker managed to get access to the GD moderator Uan's Discord account. On that account, Uan was a member of a private Discord chat where the GD moderators actively interact and conduct their activities, also known as the GD mod chat. The hacker later exported over 65,000 messages, mostly spanning from July 2025 to December 2025, and then published them for us all to see. Upon learning about these files, I've taken it upon myself to read every single message sent there and then document all my findings. After a week of torturous reading of a chat composed of some of the most bland individuals I've ever had the displeasure of coming across, I've discovered some quite interesting information about GD, the GD mod team, and what kind of people make it up. Like for example, them knowing about pedophiles and not doing anything about them having a no-send list, and one of them sexting children. I've condensed all the findings into a 28-point list from most serious to least serious on a Google Doc that's linked below. If you don't really want to watch this video and just want to know what was learned, you can go ahead and read that Google Doc. Then if you want, you can head to my Discord and get the files themselves, along with all the screenshots and evidence for the claims that I'm going to be making in this video. So the purpose of this video is to go point by point through that Google Doc, provide the relevant evidence in a structured and clear way for each and every point, discuss the implications of everything we've learned, and generally just showcase what the GD mod team has become as of late. On some of these points, we've even had the GD mods respond to them, and I'll be addressing their responses in this video. Aside from the introduction, I've divided this video into 5 different chapters. In the first chapter, we'll discuss points 1 through 9 on the Google Doc, which all have to do with the topic of pedophilia or child safety. In the second chapter, we'll go through points 10 to 15, which all have to do with transparency and abuse of power issues. In the third chapter, we'll cover points 16 to 18, which all have to do with favoritism and double standards in the GD mod team. After that, it's points 19 through 28, which all are just interesting findings that aren't that serious, but good to know nonetheless. Afterward, we'll conclude with an overview of the mod team, see what kind of conclusions we can draw, and talk about what should be done next. In the description you can find the video divided into those 5 chapters. As well, I've also included a number at the top left of the screen indicating which one we are currently talking about. So if you want, you can use the Google Doc as a basis and just skip to whatever point you want to see evidence for or learn more about. Keep in mind though, not all of these points are in order. I've integrated some together as they touch on the same topic or as is relevant to bring up together. So before we get into things, there's one more thing I need to address. Some GD mods who are clearly not happy about getting their logs and secrets leaked have been saying in various places that the things I and others are finding are taken out of context or just straight up lies. For anyone who believes them, I implore you not to just blindly believe me or them, but actually look at the evidence for yourself. As I said before, the files are on my Discord. So you're welcome to go there, get the files, and then use the dates included in all of the screenshots that I show here to check for the context yourself. And you will quickly learn that nothing here is taken out of context. But again, don't trust what I or the mods say, trust your own eyes. So Erex is a mod and has been one since around June of 2025. Recently, screenshots leaked showing her engaging in a sexual conversation with a user named Regnan, who in those screenshots told her that he's 15. These text messages took place about 2 years ago. After learning his age, she continued talking to him sexually for about an hour before eventually shutting him down. This is pretty bad. Not only did she not verify his age earlier, but she kept on going after finding out. But she makes it even worse with her response to this whole situation. According to her in that response, after learning his age, all the sexual interactions from there on were completely driven by him. She claims she was actively uncomfortable and shocked by the things he was saying. In the screenshot that she shows of the interaction, that certainly seems like the case. However, a screenshot that she did not originally include in her response, but that Regnan published, shows her clearly continuing to engage in the sexual conversation. We can see here that she's not actively uncomfortable nor shocked by the things he was saying, but clearly engaging, even asking questions and driving the interaction. After being called out for leaving this important screenshot out, which totally disproves her narrative, she edited the Google Doc and included it, at the very bottom of course. In her edit, she makes even more excuses and claims that this was the only time in the entire conversation where she didn't show clear signs of discomfort, which is very convenient to say the least. And we don't even know if that is the only time, because Erex has omitted about an hour's worth of text from 8:49 PM to 9:41 PM her time when the aforementioned screenshot took place. When asked to be transparent and provide all the chats so we can actually see if this was the only instance of her engaging, she refused. We only got one snippet from that critical time period, and it's that one. So we don't know to what extent she was engaging or what else might have been said. We can only guess based on the screenshot she originally left out. In her document, she admits that she fucked up by letting it get this far, and she says that she will take accountability for that, but she has yet to take any sort of accountability. Not only did she lie and is actively omitting critical text messages, but she's also gone on Reddit saying that she didn't do anything wrong. And if you actually read her Google Doc, you'll see that the vast majority of it consists of her talking about what a bad guy Regnum is, making a ton of excuses for everything, and painting herself as the victim. This is not what accountability looks like. This is what narcissism and thinking you did absolutely nothing wrong looks like. So basically, Erex, a mod, engaged in a sexual conversation with a minor after learning their age, lied about her level of engagement after finding out, and has omitted and is still omitting critical text messages just to push her narrative. And clearly, she doesn't see anything wrong with what she did. This is not a person that should be a moderator for a kids game. I think everyone can agree on that. And she should be unmodded or resign right now. On numerous occasions, the mods were made aware of various pedophiles in the community, and the extent of their actions was just to blacklist them from being sent, if any action was taken at all. From the logs, we've learned that Lexiso, Kuromi GD, Sensawa, and Krisas Lisp are all allegedly pedophiles. We found out about Lexiso because of a Google Doc that Devilmind posted. Kuromi GD and Sensawa we found out because they were listed as pedophiles on the GD mod's no send list, and Krisas Lisp because of the GD mod Leah. For those who don't know, GD mods are able to comment ban users. In 3/4 of these messages, they've deemed the evidence sufficient enough to blacklist them for being rated, but apparently not enough to ban them from commenting and potentially victimize more kids. Worse than that is that in Lexiso, Sensawa's, and Krisa Lisp's case, there was no public information about what these individuals did prior to the leaks, meaning that the GD mods withheld critical information about pedophiles and didn't sufficiently warn this community full of kids about predators that they had full knowledge of, risking more kids being groomed. And if Kuromi GD is to be believed, the GD mods even gave them second chances. This shouldn't shock anyone. For those who remember Heinz and that whole shit show, you'll clearly recall how members of Geostorm, a lot of whom are mods, were made aware of Heinz's pedophilic attractions and kept quiet about them for over 2 years because the pedophile promised them that they wouldn't do anything, which obviously led to predictable results. So GD mods staying silent on even more pedophiles shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. Now, when it comes to the Lexiso situation specifically, we've had Devilmind respond on Twitter. The TLDR of his response is that he didn't hide Lexiso's situation, and in fact, there was a group of people working on it who asked them to stay quiet so they could finish their investigation and publish it later, which according to him, they were close to doing. However, there are a few issues with this response. First of all, if we actually look at the message that Devilmind sent about this situation, you'll see how he clearly says that a grooming victim, not a group of people, DM'd him, asking for something to be done about Lexiso. Now ask yourself, why would they ask for something to be done if the situation was still being dealt with? If something was done by the mods, that would obviously alert everyone that something was going on, and more or less publicize everything before it was fully handled. And I really doubt she contacted Devilmind just to have him quietly rate list the guy. Second, this all took place on November 21st, 2025, both the Google Doc and the message. About 2 months before the chat got leaked. The Google Doc that Devilmind linked is the same exact one he then linked on Twitter. And if you read through it, you'll clearly see that it was made in a day. So what were they working on 2 months for? Does it really take 2 months to get Lexiso's side of the story? Devilmind's tweet implies that they've been working on it ever since. Working on what exactly? The Google Doc hasn't changed since November 21st, clearly. So Devilmind is either lying here or leaving out some important critical information that will help us understand the situation. One thing that this does show is that even when a grooming victim asks for something to be done about their abusers, the mods still do jack shit, as nothing happened to him until this all blew up publicly through the leaks. Devilmind's statement also has this underlying implication that even if he was given permission to publish it or whatever, he or any other mod would actually do that and tell the community. But as shown by previous cases, they clearly most likely wouldn't. Devilmind has also said in the chat that he can't take the word pedophile seriously because he thinks it's sensationalized and stretched, which I think provides important context when it comes to this situation. So yeah, mods not doing enough or saying enough about pedophiles. Big surprise. It's not like their head is a pedophile himself or something. Speaking of Viprin, as we all know, Viprin is or at least used to be a lolicon. Well, his affinity for lollies goes beyond just gooning to it. It also extends to protecting others who share the same twisted interests. In the leaks, we found this message from Uan recalling a discussion they had in chat about a creator whose Twitter account was full of lolly stuff. Sadly, we don't have the actual discussion, just Uan's recaps of it. Viprin, playing the role of the lollicon's hero, said he dislikes people hunting or stalking others to uncover this kind of behavior. Putting aside the fact that finding someone's public Twitter account can hardly be considered stalking or hunting, this just shows how Viper really doesn't see a big deal with lolly. It's more concerned about the person who had a Twitter than the fact that someone making levels in a kids game is actively gooning to drawn kids. This isn't really surprising if you actually know Viper, but it's good to have more confirmation of who he really is. So at one point during the chat, the mods were talking about a guy named Minishui, how he's been talking shit about every single mod wave that's happened recently and how he obviously wants to be mod himself. For those who don't know, Minishui used to be associated with Amoraltra, a very infamous pedophile in the Geometry Dash community. This comes in with what should have been a pretty forgettable message, basically saying that nobody associated with Amoraltra turned out to be a good person. It's just a reading the room kind of message. A general statement of opinion based on what everyone already knows. Nothing too wild. But oh boy, not for the GD mods. Right after that, they started dogpiling on Disp, assuming Disp was straight up calling their friend a groomer. They come rushing to defend their buddy and just gang up on Disp over this tiny minor comment that was literally just him stating an opinion, grounded in facts that they all agree on. The only one who actually came to Disp's defense was King Tony, who rightfully pointed out that mods were twisting Disp's word however they wanted and that Disp never called anyone a groomer or a pedophile. The argument, or just straight up dogpile, dragged on until Disp eventually temporarily resigned over that little comment. He has since come back as a mod though, since he's still listed as one. This whole situation just shows how insanely sensitive the GD mods are, and how at the same time they are completely indifferent to actual pedophilia. They do jack shit about the pedophiles they're made aware of. They work under someone who dated a child as an adult, but the second that someone calls one of their friends a bad person for being associated with a pedophile, which is just an opinion and then a statement of fact, all hell breaks loose. They harass you into stepping down. Pretty disgusting. Okay, so I'm gonna be straight with you. This is probably nothing, but I'll still talk about it since it's something noteworthy that popped up in the files. I assume that everyone knows who Split72 is. The guy at the top of the creator leaderboard. Well, in the logs, we can find this message from the ZD mod Infra. Someone, with credibility we can assume, told Infra that they have first-hand experience of Split72, quote, engaging in some shady stuff, especially in the topic of sexual behavior. Now, we don't know who this person is or what exactly this behavior was. There's also no other corroborating evidence that even hints at Split72 being involved in anything like this. But this is a message sent by a mod, so we kinda have to take it seriously, at least enough to note it. Again, I repeat, except for this one message, there's literally nothing on Split right now. Just some rumors floating around from Infra, which is good to keep in mind in case something actually pops up later. For context for this message, the GD mods were talking about Saru at the time and how he was allegedly sexually DMing minors, and how Saru is apparently friends with Split. So for those of you who are active on GD Twitter, you've probably already seen this tweet where GD Colin is justifying working under Viprin, who I remind you, dates children, because he's on good terms with them, doesn't like to get involved in drama, and it makes him feel bad to turn against his child dating friends. Poor GD Colin, no worries, we've all had friends who date children and stayed quiet about it because we didn't want drama. Just look at everyone in the Epstein list. They must have thought the exact same thing. But anyway, yeah. Him not wanting to involve himself in drama with Vibrant isn't the full story here. As it turns out, he's also been somewhat active in covering up Vibrant's situation. In the logs, we found this message where GD Colon intentionally banned someone off his YouTube who implied that Vibrant is a pedophile via a comment under one of his videos. Now, we don't know for sure if he actually banned the user or not, but honestly, it seems pretty likely that he did. What speaks louder than anything else is the deafening silence from these people on the whole Vibrant situation. The only 2 times that it was ever brought up through all these 65,000 messages was when GD Colon banned someone off his YouTube and when someone posted a screenshot of some rage bait Discord message claiming Vibrant and Robtop were raping kids or whatever. Other than that, crickets. And the GD mods are pretty active in removing any mention of Vibrant's situation from his levels, the daily levels, and so on. So yeah, the likelihood that GD Colon actually banned this user is pretty high considering the context. But of course, he'll deny it if asked. If anyone's wondering why the messages I'm showing aren't embedding in the Discord message, that's just how the export came out. If any of you doubt these are the actual screenshots tied to the message, you're welcome to grab the files yourself, click on the image attachment, copy paste the URL of the image attachment into any Discord chat, and then watch it embed properly. You'll see I'm showing the right ones. Trust your eyes, as always. This is just an interesting quote from Dreameater, who is a mod. This is pulled from a DM convo between Paz and Uan, as you can probably tell from the context. According to Uan, Dreameater apparently told them, quote, "Read mod chat, the stuff is dystopic and makes me believe the people who say that Vibrant is a pedophile. This is a pretty wild, unfiltered take coming straight from a mod. And honestly, it's one of those rare times we get to see what an insider actually thinks about the mod chat behind closed doors. Because, believe it or not, GD mods are not even allowed to publicly criticize the game. And by the way, after reading through 65,000 messages from that exact chat myself, I can honestly say that I agree with Dreameater's assessment. It's very dystopian in there. So, according to the GD mod 4Y4, Mindbear, the guy sitting at number 16 on the creator leaderboard, is still friends with the infamous rapist Advi, or Guitar Hero Styles, at least as of August 24, 2025. Don't really have much to say about this one, it's just info from the log that everyone should know about. Anyways, let's move on. So, thanks to the logs, we've learned that GD mods used to, and might still, have a no-send list that many of them actively used or are still using. For clarity, a no-send list here is basically a blacklist of users the GD mods aren't allowed to send levels from to Robtop. This isn't some official list from Robtop, it's one they created themselves, among themselves, and enforced jointly. There were always rumors in the GD community about a no-send list or some kind of raid blacklist floating around among the mods, but the mods were always adamant that nothing like that existed. Well, surprise, it turns out they were most likely lying. The no-send list they were using got shared right in their general chat, and we have a copy of it. In there, you'll see tons of people listed as level stealers, pedophiles, lolicons, and so on. Some people are even on there for reasons like, and I quote, baseless suspicion, not gonna lie, and, quote, gross individual. Imagine grinding on a level, pouring your soul into it, only for it not to be rated because some dumbass mod slapped you on the no-send list or the be careful list over baseless suspicion, not gonna lie. Might as well just label it as no reason. Even worse, some mods were openly in favor of adding people to the list just for shit-talking a mod, showing exactly how sensitive and power-hungry these people are, ready to abuse their positions over petty drama. Eventually, a few mods with above room temperature IQ figured out that this looks absolutely terrible, and if ever leaked, would blow up in their faces. So they agreed to stop using it. Or did they? Because as of November 21st, 2025, Devilmind is still implying in the logs that some kind of raid blacklist might still be in play. So who knows if they actually killed it or they just became sneakier. So basically, this whole thing exposes how willing the GD mods are to abuse their power and block people they don't like from getting raided. How quick they are to lie to the community's face, and how ridiculously thin-skinned they can be. If you needed more proof of that, well, here it is. Pretty pathetic. So yeah, let's move on. So apparently, according to Vibrant himself, shadow mods exist. Basically moderators, but without the badge, but with send perms. We don't know if they have any extra perms or not. This is another point that the GD mods have responded to, claiming that Vibrant was just joking when he said it, and that shadow mods don't actually exist. But if you look at the context of the messages right before and after, it's clear that they were having a half-joke, half-serious conversation about sense and mods. Just a few messages earlier, Viper was talking about how his sense got rated at a rate of 99%, while the second closest mod only hit 70%. And that part is definitely not a joke, as we can clearly see. By the way, if anyone needs solid proof of RobTop's favoritism toward Viprin, well, here it is. If Viprin wasn't joking and shadow mods actually do exist, that raises some serious ethical red flags around transparency and accountability. Shadow mods would be operating with no badge and zero accountability to the community for whatever they're doing. Also kinda interesting to speculate who might be one of these shadow mods. For some reason, a certain Spanish man keeps coming to mind right now. So apparently, GD has an automatic auto-ban system that works off user reports. And that's supposedly how the person behind the level, Charlie Kirkles, got their account banned. This wasn't something we knew of before, and it's not stated anywhere either. Not in any FAQs about the game, not in the rules, nothing. So there's a clear transparency issue right there. The obvious problem with a system like this is how easily it can be exploited with bots. Someone could just mass report a user's level until their account gets deleted. And if you're just an average GD player with no platform, well, you can say goodbye to your account forever. That said, I'm personally a bit skeptical about the whole thing. It's been common knowledge for years that user reports in GD basically do jack shit. Reporting someone feels useless most of the time. If an auto-ban system based on reports actually existed and worked like this, we would have seen much more levels and accounts being nuked. I doubt Charlie Kirkles got more reports than, let's say, Oni-chan, or any of the garbage that Advi has uploaded. What I think is really going on here is that Viprin is lying to his fellow mods to dodge scrutiny over why this Charlie Kirkles guy got banned in the first place, especially since a bunch of mods weren't happy about it. Although, we don't know that for sure. Could be real, could be bullshit. Either way, it's worth keeping in mind. So yeah, according to our favorite GD mod of all time, Irax, most GD moderators don't even bother checking their forms. In fact, the mod Laya only has her set up so she can avoid getting level requests floating through her DMs. So if you ever have taken the time to fill out a level request form for a mod who isn't actively streaming or whatever, well, congrats, you just wasted your time. And they probably didn't even open it, let alone check your level. So it's just another example of these mods pretending to have system while doing the bare minimum or less. So our favorite pedo apologist, GD Cole, makes a glorious return with this episode banger of a screenshot. In it, he says he doesn't like people posting reported levels on the GD Reddit for others to report, and he wishes he was a mod on r/GD so he could remove these posts himself. As we already covered, reporting levels in GD basically does jack shit most of the time. The Charlie Kirkles situation is pretty much the only time anything actually came out of level of reports, and even that's dubious as hell. So GD Colin is basically admitting he wants to strip away the community's only real tool for raising awareness about problematic levels. This guy's a mod. Theoretically, he should be thrilled that someone flagged his sketchy level on Reddit. It gives him a chance to do the job he supposedly loves, but nope. Clearly not excited at all. Instead, he wants to flex his power and censor and remove those posts, so that nobody even sees them. I'm noticing a pattern here with this dude, removing things he doesn't like. So GD moderators have shown zero hesitation when it comes to banning levels based on controversial topics like Epstein or Charlie Kirk. In fact, they straight up purged every single level with Epstein in the name. Their excuse has always been that kids play this game, so they shouldn't be exposed to those kinds of levels, which is ironic coming from the same exact mod team that does jack shit about obvious pedophiles in the community. They now suddenly care about protecting kids? Yeah, I'm sure. But I digress. The real kicker here is how their stance on controversial levels seems to change the second it's a level that they personally like. At one point in the chats, the mods were made aware of a level called Red Velvet, with lyrics that are very explicitly about pup sex, complete with imagery alluding to that stuff. By their own kids play this game logic, this should have been removed. Kids absolutely shouldn't be playing it. But instead, they downplay the whole thing, they claim that kids won't understand it, and that they personally find it funny. So suddenly it's now fine. A level with blatant pup sex themes gets a pass because it's funny and kids won't get it, but a level named after Charlie Kirk, where you can make the exact same kids won't understand it argument, still gets banned. And many of the mods are okay with that. This is textbook double standards. They ban levels around Epstein or Charlie Kirk on principle, but a pup sex level, yeah, no problem. This whole thing just proves how the GD mods selectively enforce the rules, There's no consistent code of conduct, no real principles, just whatever they feel like removing based on their mood, friendships, and how much they like their creator. If they vibe with it, it stays up. If they don't, they'll purge the server clean. So this shouldn't surprise anyone, but the GD mods constantly send their own levels to be rated. Anyone who skims through the log for even a few seconds can spot it in a heartbeat. For a concrete example, Devilmind's first ever level he sent was his own. Well, let's be real, this is straight up abuse of power, it's just to benefit themselves. They're using the special position and connections to guarantee that their level gets noticed and potentially even rated. Something regular players have to grind for or even beg for. No wonder so many people are desperate to become mods. Instant shortcut to getting your levels noticed. Also explains why the GD mods seem to half-ass every other part of moderation. They're just there to send their own levels, aren't they? So yeah, it's blatant favoritism dressed up as moderation. If the people judging and sending levels are the same ones getting the free boosts, the whole system is rigged from the start. So alright, the next remaining points aren't really that important compared to the stuff we've already gone through. But there's still interesting findings from the logs that I think most of the GD community would find worth knowing about. Since this video is already pretty long, I'm just gonna speed run through them real quick for you. So, mods could theoretically have the ability to rate levels. RobTop once accidentally gave a new mod the rate level button instead of the send level button, which suggests that this functionality exists to people who aren't RobTop. GD mods have the 2.3 change logs. Viper doesn't think that 2.3 will come out in the next 5 years. Some GD mods think you can't make a good level as your first ever level. RobTop has an alt Discord account. I have no idea what it might be. RobTop owns a horse breeding company. A whole bunch of mods are not even reading mod chat at all. Some never even talk there. Some GD mods are in favor of locking GD comments behind phone verification. Some GD mods are in favor of getting rid of daily chat completely. And finally, according to the GD mod Gecko, every single mod wave the past 2 years had a furry in it. So to wrap this video up, I think it'd be good if you also took a second, stepped back, and really looked at what the mod team has become as of late, and what kind of people are representing RobTop these days. So okay, at the very top we've got Viper, someone who dated a child as an adult and openly admitted to it, someone who was, or maybe still is, a lolicon who defends other lolicons, and someone who knew about Heinz's pedophilic attractions for years and stayed completely silent before caught. Right under him is Paz, a man-child, pathological liar, someone who goes after creators making critical videos about him and the mods, and someone who sees zero issue with his friend dating a child. Then we got Irax, someone who had a sexual conversation with a minor, lied about how involved she was, hid key messages to make herself look better, and clearly doesn't think she did anything wrong. We also got ZD Colon, someone who refused to go against his friends who date children, and who actively wants to, or already does, silence people who post or say things he doesn't like. We got Devilmind in there too, someone who can't take the word pedophile seriously because he thinks it's sensationalized and stretched. Someone who potentially hit a pedophile and is lying about it on Twitter. Then we have also about a dozen mods who were in Geostorm back when Heinz admitted he was a pedophile. They might have known about his attraction and still kept quiet for years. If we zoom out to the rest of the team, we'll see a group that does jack shit about obvious pedophiles they're made aware of. Worse still, they hide them, potentially give them second chances, and keep them in the community full of kids. Some of them will dogpile and harass you into resigning just for stating a basic fact-based opinion. Many straight up lie to the community about the no-send list existing, then abuse their power to block people they don't like from getting raided, while happily using their own power to push their own levels. They're ridiculously thin-skinned, potentially hiding all kinds of important information from the community, and selectively enforce rules based purely on personal vibes and feelings. And worst of all, they're all furries. Nah, but seriously, looking at this team from a bird's eye view, there's only one conclusion here. This is a broken, rotten to the core mod team that desperately needs reform. If nothing else, that's the main takeaway I want you to walk away with. If nothing changes, things will just keep on getting worse. The mods will just keep on acting with total impunity. RobTop needs to step up, put his foot down, and reform this team from the ground up, which I doubt he will do. So yeah, that's pretty much everything I've got for this video. If more stuff comes up about any of this, I might drop a follow-up video or just pin an update in the comments. If you've got questions, objections, or want to call me out on anything I've said or shown, you're welcome to comment below. I promise I'll respond. If you want more context on why I'm doing what I'm doing, you can check out my Why I Hate GD video. It covers the bigger picture. Other than that, yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Stay safe out there. Stay away from the mods. And I'll see you when I see you. Goodbye.